There are a number of regressions that I like to use for hip CARs. If somebody has trouble doing it standing and they're moving in their spine and they're dumping into their back as they go through these movements, I like to bring them down to the ground. I'm going to show you two separate regressions here. The first one is kind of the intermediate step before we get all the way regressed. And so we're going to do that same exact movement that we just did, but we're going to do it on our hands and knees. So I'm going to be in a kind of quadruped position. Prone, hands, knees is the way that I would describe this. The motion at the hip is going to be exactly the same. Okay, so from this position, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to flex my hip up. I'm going to bring it out to the side like I'm going to pee on a tree. From here, I'm going to lift my foot, bring my foot back into the middle with my knee, and then back down, and then I reverse it. I'm going to bring it up, sort of reminds me of Jane Fonda. I'm going to bring it out to the side. Notice as I bring it out to the side, my foot stays above my knee. Okay, I'm going to bring it down and around and in. Okay, a couple compensations that I see through any of those, whether we're standing, sitting, or standing prone quadruped, or whether we're prone on the ground, the compensations tend to be the same. When we're standing in our hands and knees, a lot of it comes from the flexion in their spine. I would expect if you have impingement in your hip, and closing angle pinch, or you feel closing angle pinch in your shoulders, so hip or shoulder impingement, my experience is that a lot of times people that have those impingements tend to move from their spine when they move their extremity. Another way to say that is that you should be able to move your extremity, my hip or shoulder, without having a lot of spine movement. You'll find that that's a little difficult for people. And that's something that I want to, if you have trouble going through these motions, and if you flex, if I'm here and I flex my hip up and I get some spine flexion, I need to stop that and just work on teaching somebody to move from their spine. There's a number of different progressions and regressions to that. Just the one that I like a lot is putting a ball right in my low back right here at my top of my sacrum and just learning to rock back and forth and not let the ball fall. A lot of times the ball will fall if you flex. So teaching you to move from your extremities without your spine moving, I think, is really important, especially if you have that closing angle pinch. So that prone hands, feet, or the quadruped position. Again, the car, what we're going to look like, I'm going to engage my body and I'm going to squeeze my body so I can limit the motion to the one joint that I want. I'll go this way so you can see my other hip. I'm going to flex my hip up. I'm going to bring my hip out to the side. I want to make sure I'm not rotating through my body as I do it. A lot of times you'll see people move through their low back or dump into their low back. I want to make sure I'm only getting it from the hip. If I feel motion through the rest of my body, I need to shorten up the motion and just keep it where I'm only getting it from that one spot. Okay? And so from here, I'm going to go ahead and flex my hip up. I'm going to bring it out to the side. I'm going to raise my foot up over my knee as high as I can. I'm going to bring it back into the middle and down. And then I reverse it. I bring it up, keep my foot over my knee, I bring it out to the side. Don't bend in this elbow. A lot of times people bend. Keep it engaged, out to the side, down and around. Okay, and variabilities here include how hard I squeeze my body, how hard I move my leg. I can move my leg through water, through gel, through plasma, through sand, through air. So the depending on how hard I squeeze is some of the variability there. For me, this is a movement that I want to do every day because cars in general, I like the idea of keeping motion in all the joints whenever possible. The idea being, if you do it every day, the body doesn't know what a muscle is. That's a man-made construct. The body knows what movement is. It knows how to control the forces that are presented to it. And so the variability within doing this movement every day is how hard I squeeze. One day I can do it more of a range of motion centric movement where I'm not going to really squeeze and isometrically contract my body, and I'm not going to move my extremity when I'm squeezing real hard. I can do a strength-centric version of the same movement by squeezing my body really hard, moving my leg through space with more intensity, and that can just rev up the nervous system and create some pre-fatigue as well. So this prone hands, knees, hip car is my first regression on the way through regressions. People are going to have trouble with this, and if they do, then I regress this one more time. I bring it down onto the ground where they're laying flat, and then we get half of the car, and I'll show you that one next.